All right, I'd like to call to order the Willington Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission on January 25th, 2001 at 6 PM. This is a special meeting. It's at a different time than our usual meeting. And this is a revised special meeting agenda that we're doing, and we are on Zoom, obviously. And roll call, all the members that we have are here. And Patrick is muted. Now he's not. Hi, Patrick. And there are no alternates to seat, and there's no public hearings to talk about, so we'll go right on to new business. IW 20-13, application for a single-family dwelling with modifications to existing driveway access within the wetland at 46 Navatril Road, map 14, lot 19, owner applicant Christopher Yeah. Yeah. How's that?
That's okay.
How do you pronounce it?
Satila.
Satila?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, is there somebody here to speak for you or you? Mike,
Yes,
You're
my
muted.
engineer, Andrew Bushnell.
Mike,
Yeah.
you're muted.
No, can you hear me now?
I just see the little red microphone. And Melissa's also,
Okay, can you
You
hear
know,
me? It's Andrew
we're back.
Bush.
we're back to your default picture.
That's okay. I'm going to keep my camera off so you have less squares to look at while they present.
Oh, okay. So we're ready for the presentation.
Okay, so Andrew Bushnell from Bushnell Associates, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so Andrew Bushnell with Bushnell Associates, 563 Woodbridge Street in Manchester. I'm the engineer and land surveyor on this project for Chris. So we're located on the west side of Navajo Road in Willington, address number 46 Navajo Road. Larger piece of property, a total of about 24 and a half acres. It's plus minus because the part of the easterly property line, southeasterly property lines along the brook. So that's why we have the plus minus area there. Existing access is between the two properties located at 50 and 40 Navajo Road. There's an access strip to the property. Then as you go into there and cross the wetland, the property opens up quite a bit into a nice big piece of property. As you can see from the maps, you all should have, there is, as I mentioned, a brook running from northeast corner to the southwest corner portion of the property. We show wetlands in the area of the existing driveway that's there now, and the existing 36-inch RCP driveway culvert that was installed. The wetlands we show were field delineated by John Ianni, certified soil scientist from Highland Soils, and field located by my company, and then that's mapped on the maps that you have. Particularly on sheet 2 of 3, will show the best detail of that area. As I mentioned, there's existing gravel driveway there now. It appears the property was used as a gravel pit in previous years, and this roadway was built to access the site and remove the gravel from the site. The 36-inch concrete pipe that's there now, reinforced concrete pipe, is in good condition. The inlets and the outlets to it are stable. Somebody puts a lot of thought and work into the inlets and outlets to prevent scour of the brook in the area around the pipe. So that's, very stable pipe in good serviceable condition there now. You can see the existing gravel driveway as shown there by the dash lines from Navajo Road. And if you look, it goes all the way back around the corner, and then what Chris is proposing is to shoot a driveway off of the existing gravel driveway to his proposed house site. the house site itself, the house septic well, that's all out of the upland review area. The only work proposed in the upland review area is the installation of the underground utilities for part of the way, and then widening the existing driveway to meet the current town of Willington specs for a driveway, and also installing a couple of turnouts, one on each side of the existing wetlands crossing there. The turnouts are just to allow, so if you have two cars coming at each other on the driveway, one can pull over the other one can pass. So we have those turnouts spotted there. Willington requires a driveway minimum 10 feet wide with 2-foot load bearing shoulders. So, the driveway width varies there. It's between like 8 and 10 feet now, probably closer to 10. So really, Chris needs to widen it out to add those 2-foot load bearing shoulders. Basically just rub the edges out, remove the leaves and any organics that have built up, and then, place gravel base in there of probably about 8 inches of gravel base. And then add 4 inches of processed aggregate over the entire surface, the load bearing shoulders and the main part of the 10-foot wide main part of the driveway, to get it up to spec. So that would be the activity in the upland review area. Really, there's no activity proposed in the wetland area because the culvert crossing is not considered a wetland now. You can see by how John flagged that the wetlands end at each end of the culvert. So Chris would be proposing to do this work. It would be stabilized as he goes with the process aggregate. That would be the stable course. So as he puts in those, widens the driveway out to put in those load bearing shoulders and widen any part out that needs to be widened out to get to the 10 feet, he would have been installing that process aggregate right as he goes. So, in the course of the same day, the work that's done will be stabilized with that process aggregate to prevent any potential erosion and sediment into the wetland area. That's a basic overview of what we're proposing, what this application's about. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
So there's no evidence of that RCP pipe having ever been overtopped by water flow through that.
No, it all looks stable, and no evidence of being overtopped.
Could you speak to how the utilities, like electric, are going to get to the home?
Well, yeah, so he'll be doing that too. As I mentioned, he's going to be installing those as he widens the driveway. He'll put in underground utilities. They're going to be in conduit underground. So he'll install that as he goes too.
And how do they hop the brook?
They will should be able to go over the top of the pipe.
Right. So between the pipe and the road surface.
Yeah. That would be that's our hope. Take a look here. Do a little quick math. So your road surface is 183. Yeah, hopefully we get over the road surface. We might have to build the road surface up a little bit there to get to 30 inches of cover. I know he's been trying to work with CL&P to figure that out.
Right.
Yeah.
They're touchy about some of that stuff.
Yep.
So could you clarify where you have the existing gravel road coming off of Navartal?
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to be doing any improvements there, or is that going to be as is?
No, so we'll have to do improvement right out at the road.
And then you're going to have a new driveway at some point where it
No.
kind of makes that turn?
We're gonna use the existing driveway path, widen it out to get the 10 foot of travel lane and 2 foot of load bearing shoulders as needed. Pretty much gonna hold the grade that's there. Except like I said, we might have to build it up about a foot going over the brook culvert. To get that clearance for the underground utilities. I'm just thinking out loud here. It may actually work out better to shift the utilities to the other side of the driveway there, because the pipe's got quite a bit of slope to it. The driveway's flat. The pipe's got quite a bit of slope to it. So on the other side of the driveway, the pipe's deeper. And then getting back to the overtop thing, that's probably one reason why that pipe's never overtopped. It's got a lot of slope to it. It's got 4 feet of slope to it from end to end. So the more slope you get, the more capacity you get in the pipe. So
Right.
4 feet of slope gives that pipe quite a bit of capacity to push water through there.
So that
So
also means you have to have a good anti-scour pad on the downhill side.
they do. If you take a look out there, there is a good anti-scour pad that they built, plunge pool anti-scour pad using some rather good sized rocks and things. As I said, there's no outlet scour there at all.
The reason why I'm asking is because, on the plan it says existing gravel road, and then you have a proposed gravel road. So I
Yeah,
was
well,
wondering
the
where the point of the new construction is going to be, or is it all?
the proposed is just going to be wider than the existing. That's it. We're following the same path. The proposed is just going to be wider than the existing to get it up to snuff with the requirements for the width.
And then-
So, go ahead, Mike.
Could you just describe like the sequencing and your construction methods on because we're looking at a small area here within the review area and near the wetland.
Mhm.
So what would be your sequencing of activities and any controls that you may be taking into consideration while these activities are being performed?
So on the part of the driveway that we're gonna, the existing driveway would just be to clear off the edges to see where the gravel actually ends, and then add, take out any organic material that would need to be taken out, and add the gravel to get to that basically 14-foot wide driveway. And actually I take that back, clean off the edges, take out any unsuitable material in that 14-foot wide strip, and then install the underground conduit for the utilities, and then fill those shoulders with the 8 inches of, fill the 14-foot wide swath with the 8 inches of bank run gravel as needed, and then immediately top over that with the 4 inches of process aggregate to provide the stabilization that is needed. And then as you head up the driveway, I put some erosion control, and this is actually the regulated area just clips where the new driveway to the house, totally new driveway, is going to veer off from the existing gravel driveway. So I've added some silt fence up in that area just because that's more prone to erosion, because you're going to be actually stripping off a lot of topsoil, stumping. Be a lot more disturbance in that area, and that's on a grade coming down the hill too, so that's going to be prone to erosion. So I've added silt fence up there to protect the wetlands. If you look on sheet 3, you'll see that there.
So that's the only area that you propose to have sediment and erosion control measures established?
Yeah, I think that's the only area we'll need it. As long as he's working in the same day, and it's not a rainy, poury day, which you wouldn't work in, through the upland review area, starting by, clearing off whatever he needs, removing whatever material he needs, putting in that conduit, putting the bank run gravel in, and putting the process all in the same day. I don't know if he'd be able to get it all done in the same day, but at the end of the day, if he ends, restabilizes where he's disturbed to, I don't see any potential for erosion, As long as he gets that process aggregate, gets the underground conduits in, gets the process aggregate down and compacts that process aggregate. I don't, there's gonna be no long-term beyond, a workday of soil open there, disturbed soil that's gonna need, erosion control.
Okay, thank you.
Now, how long do you think that RCP has been in there?
I think since about, let me see, I think about since 1976 or so. Let me see, there's a map reference. Yeah, I think about late 70s. Well, yeah. Well, no, I take that back. I think it's actually maybe 1991. There's a survey showing the existing crossing, which maybe when they put it in. So I think actually maybe the 90s. While you guys are talking, I can look a little more.
Well, I was just curious because that RCP stuff often begins to show a little wear after a certain number of years.
Well, it's funny. It's not. We were talking about this. It's not the wear it shows. It's more the breakdown from the salt and all the stuff they put on the.
Right.
And this here is not road stormwater. It's overland. From the woods. It's not a street storm drain system. If it was that, you would probably start to see some breakdown in it. Yeah.
Falling and stuff like that.
What's that?
Falling.
Yeah, right. Spalling. Yeah. Yep. So this isn't subject to that harsh environment. So this pipe will last a long time.
Okay.
We ever have an application for that? That would have been a regulated activity, wouldn't it have been, Dave?
I mean, in 1990 odd when they put well, I never saw one. But I remember.
No, I'm not sure when I got, but that was just my best guess.
Well, it was, no matter what, it was 30, 40 years ago, right?
The 30 years ago. Yeah.
And not even I can remember things that long. Besides that, I started on the commission in 99. So, you got any questions, Mark?
No, I don't think so.
Call from 50150924000.
Is this something we should walk?
Mike, did you have an opportunity to look at the property at all?
Yeah. The driveway, so this parcel was part of the Williams sand and gravel piece. So my suspicion is anything that was done was probably done as part of that activity, in part of the larger operation. I was going through the files that we have online just to see if there's any indication of anything having gone before inland wetlands. And I've seen some stuff, but nothing that mentions really a pipe. Ashley and I did walk the site with Chris before he purchased it, I think, and looked at the pipe. We looked at the crossing. We looked at the water course, and it's all really stable. It's all very well established. So I think that as long as, and I've been kind of thinking through some thoughts on any conditions or thinking about the permit. And I think one of the keys is going to be that there's no work that's left unstabilized during construction, right? So if they open up a certain component of the job, they need to make sure that's stable before they go home. But because you're not doing a full replacement of the pipe, right?
Right, no, we're not gonna touch the pipe at all. We're not gonna
Yeah.
touch it at all.
So because there's not really anything happening there, when we walked it, we weren't sure if the pipe was going to fly, if it was going to be able to withstand. And me multitasking means that I wasn't actually. But did you cover? So you guys are confident that what's there in the crossing, it will support all the construction activities?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
that was
Pike's
okay.
got good cover on it, and yeah.
Okay. That was the main concern that we had, is whether or not what was there was structurally set up so that if a truck went over it, it would not fail. So yeah, this looks like it's been there a real long time. It doesn't look like it gets a lot of volume at all. So I'm not overly concerned with it.
Right, I imagine that if it was a gravel operation, some fairly large trucks have driven over that pipe in the past.
Yeah, it looks like at one time that area was much more open. It's kind of closed in a little bit. But yeah, this doesn't, when he had mentioned a pipe, I'm thinking, okay, somebody threw a pipe in the ground, right, to get over a little stream or something. That's not what this was. This was done with intention. I don't have any photos, but yeah, I don't have any concerns. I think a lot of the things that I would have thought about, he's addressed in his presentation.
Does that answer your question, Mark?
Yes.
Patrick, you got any other comments?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Now, so when did we receive this?
At your last meeting. Or remember we discussed this via email to make sure you didn't need the hearing?
Right. So if we so chose, we could move on it tonight.
Correct.
Well, what do you think, folks? I'd say that the one comment that I would have would be that when you're doing that part of the driveway that goes to the over the pipe and through the review area, that you would want to make sure that you were able to stabilize it.
Okay. Yeah, that won't be a problem at all.
Okay,
Yep.
so I will entertain a motion on this if somebody wants to make one.
I'll make a motion to approve inland wetlands application IW 20-13 application for single family dwelling with modifications to existing driveway access within wetland. Well, it's actually upland review area at 46 Natural Road, map 14, lot 19, owner applicant Christopher
Satila.
Christopher Satila.
There you
I
go.
would have interject. Oh, you're done? Sorry, I was going to give you 3 suggested conditions.
You ready for that?
Suggested conditions I have would be, establish the erosion and sediment controls as illustrated on the site plan submitted. Stabilize any work performed daily.
Okay.
And what was would you have a third one? Did I cover at least 2 of yours, Mike?
You did. So I had erosion and sedimentation controls shall be installed and inspected by town staff. All work within the wetland and or watercourse shall be stabilized as work continues. No portion of the site shall be left unprotected from erosion. And minor modifications not resulting in greater impact to a wetland or watercourse must be approved by town staff.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you'll have to keep in touch with Mike, right?
Yeah, we'll run a notice of decision in the paper as soon as we can schedule it. 15 days from that point, you're good to go.
Okay.
So we'll get you we'll issue the permit. You'll get the notification once the 15-day appeal period has passed.
Okay. Excellent.
All right, moving right along. We don't have any old business on the agenda. Correspondence?
The only thing that I would mention to you is that in March, the Connecticut Bar Association will be running their every other year training that they run for commissioners that covers planning, zoning, wetlands, everything. It's a Saturday. It's all day. They have a flyer which tells you roughly the times that they'll be covering which topic. But it's via Zoom. So if you're interested, the town has some training budget, so we would be happy to register you. Just let us know. We need to have everything paid for by basically the first week of February so that they will be able to ship you the materials. They do like a big, huge book, like a case law reference book, and they need time to print and turn those around. So if you're interested, let me know.
What's the date on that, Michael?
I think it's March 6th. Hold on.
Yeah, it is. I just registered today.
Okay.
That will be a Zoom?
Yep.
A Zoom, I presume.
Yeah. So the good news is if you didn't necessarily totally need to watch all of it, you could probably buzz in and out for the sections that you were most interested in. Wetlands law and procedure is at 12:30. And I think, and then they have environmental interventions by Janet Brooks at 3:40. So you could probably skip the first chunk, the first half. If
Can you send us
so-
the schedule?
Yep. I will send it to you now.
What a
So just
guy.
email us and we will take care of getting you registered once you have it in your calendar.
Great.
All right.
And we're still, the only other thing that I guess we have is we're still waiting back on confirmation from the state about our forestry regs. They're apparently sitting on the commissioner's desk to be signed, but I guess they're signing a lot of documents because it's taken an awful lot of time.
It's taking a lot of time, even when they weren't signing any.
Yeah.
An optimist.
So we'll let you know when those are all squared away.
All right. We're holding our breath.
I
Okay, shall
don't
we
know that
move
I'd
on?
recommend that.
Shall we move on to staff report and discussion?
I don't think I have anything else. We may have a wetland agent permit extension that I'll be granting if we get an application to come in. And you may have an application or something, I don't know exactly what it will look like, coming in for someone who's interested in buying land that's a former subdivision, but there are some wetlands on it. So depending on what they decide to do, they may be back before you. Ashley, is there anything I'm missing?
No, I don't think so.
It's been a little bit quiet in the office when it comes to permits.
Some towns are on fire.
I mean, some stuff is busy. People asking questions, complicated ones, that part's busy. But when it comes to bona fide activities, we're not quite there yet on the wetland side.
Ah. Okay, does anybody else have something to say about staff report and discussion? No, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody here who's here to comment question or anything? If not, we'll move on to the last agenda item. Mark's favorite.
A Melissa M. that's in the meeting. I wasn't sure who that was.
There she is. She's muted.
Are you interested in joining the commission?
Dan,
No, just a neighbor. I just bought a house on Lucian Road, so I just was, curious about the
Mhm.
what was gonna happen with Navertill. So just
yeah,
checking in.
well, now you know what we did.
It's good. That's good. We have wetlands in our back part area, so eventually, if we plan to expand back there, I know what I need to do.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you for coming. It's always nice to have an audience. Okay, so adjournment. I take my gavel. Done.
Can you handle this one, Mark?